Okay, I think. Sorry, excuse me. I think everything's working. I think we're all good and recording right now. So, welcome back, everyone. I don't know why this is doing that. Oh my gosh, we are having some weird choppiness right now. To another devlog of moving Nihmory over to Unreal Engine. You might have saw some stuff there, but oh well. We're not going to be dealing with that right now. So let's go ahead and hop back into our test area. You'll notice some things are different here. Don't worry too much about it. It's going to be explained a little later on. I basically did some coding and stuff. This isn't where I want to be. I did some coding and stuff off screen to kind of alleviate some of the more frustrating bits of what I had to figure out, because there was some stuff that I've never done before, and I had to kind of like work my way through it with my process, get my thinking right, and like screw my head on the correct way to hopefully get everything to work out properly. It's still got some bugs. We actually noticed a bug when I was showing it to the project lead. So we're going to try and recreate the bug and everything. But I still haven't told you what I made. Off screen, we are planning on implementing a wall running feature to Nihmory. So off camera here, if this will load, I implemented a very basic function of wall running, which it seems that my recording is not liking it right now. So let me just see if I can fix that for you all. See if there's a way that I can decrease the amount of stuff happening. Let me just close some of these windows and whatnot. I don't know if that's gonna help enough. My computer's been having some weird issues lately. It's not like in a lot of the recorded bits. It's a little bit better. Hopefully it's enough. It is choppy. I don't know what the deal is. Hopefully it's enough that you guys can at least understand the main function of it. Oh, there we go. Look at that. It looks great. But anyways, excuse me. I've been having like a little bit of like weirdness lately. I don't know if I'm getting sick or what. Hopefully I'm not getting sick. But my throat's been having some weirdness. But I stretched out the test area that we were having last time. That way we can kind of test wall running and jumping from one wall to the other. And all this other stuff to hopefully get a better feel of what the wall running will feel like when we have these things fully implemented and all that. But essentially, we have these walls now set up with tags, which if I go into this, if I click on each of these walls, took a while. Yeah, my computer is not liking me today, so just bear with us. If you see each of these walls, we have now set them up with a tag where it says object.wallrunnable. All this is saying is that this is indeed an object, and of all the object tags that we can have, it also is a wall runnable object. Pretty simple stuff. To set up tabs, you just go into the project settings here. Sorry, to set up tags, not tabs. You go into the project settings here, and you can set up as many tags as you want. You can subdivide them, you can overlap them, you can do a lot of stuff with tags. It's just a way to reference, say, hey, this material can do these things from this code. And it just kind of helps call different things based on the tags that each thing has in principle. It's really helpful. I don't know if it was a thing in Unreal Engine 4, but I just found out about it recently because it's something that I haven't really needed to mess with until now. So yeah, super helpful, and hopefully it doesn't cause any issues, because I don't fully understand them to 100%, but what it seems to be doing here is what we want, so hopefully it stays that way, and any releases of the game can run with tags implemented. But if we go back in here, we might have a little bit of a lag. Sorry if that happens. I'll just let it work itself out again while I grab a nice drink of water, because it's important to stay hydrated. Alrighty. So, it is now doing the slow thing again. Why is it doing that? I believe in you so much, OBS. It's unreal. I don't know why my computer's running so slow, because this is... You know what it is? It's probably because I installed a new game last night, so it could be something to do with that. But, and my hard drive might just be bugging out a little bit, saying like, oh, you fed me too much, please let me take a break. Okay, here we go. But basically, I wrote a bunch of code, had some help from a friend figuring out circles, and all this other stuff, so we can get these prompts that you're about to see to show up. I don't know if this is actually still in, but yes, if you run straight at a wall, we'll get a print string, which would not show up in game. If we were to export this as a final product, this wouldn't show up in the game. But when you run into a wall straightforward, you get this thing saying it's in front of you, but you are not clambering. So we are also going to implement a clamber feature. I'm still working that out. You can see over here, like, the clamber feature doesn't work right, doesn't work properly. I'm still trying to figure out the tags for all of that to work. But we'll get there in the end. But the main function that you guys are going to be able to see is that we do have wall running functionality if you go like this. And you can see the numbers popping up on the left there. That is the stamina drain that you get while wall running. And then you can also stop the wall run by holding back. And if you swap directions and wall run from this side, boom, it snaps you to the wall, the direction the wall is facing, and gets you to start wall running. If we go over to here, which is what this alleyway is for, is just to help test wall running a little bit. You can snap, and then boom, boom, boom. You can just jump to each wall. And you can see that there is a little bit of a issue here. If you have two walls right next to each other, right now we don't have it set up to stamina drain, so you can kind of just... Oh, we're having some issues here, too. Okay, yeah. Okay. We're figuring out some bugs now. Love that. So we're having some bugs here. We want it to be less floaty, first off, because if you see, like, holding backwards, it's a little floaty. It's more of a gradient slowdown going back and forth. Whereas I think I want it to cancel out the movement entirely, which should hopefully be not too bad once we get the animations set up. We won't be doing that today because I don't have the animations imported yet for it. We have all the animations done. I just need to import them because our skeletal mesh was a little funky due to compression of the files when I got sent the Unity files. So what we're having to do is download those separately, import them separately, and hopefully all the animations and the model and the skeletal mesh and all that stuff will import correctly. We're crossing our fingers on that because Aya looked a little goofed, to say the least. She looked like an eldritch abomination ready to tear somebody's eyes out, which is not my particular favorite part of importing stuff. But we are slowly but surely getting... Wow, we're having some weird, like, ghosting artifacts going on with the bike as well for some reason. But everything aside, we have all the wall running and stuff going on here, and we're getting the functionality on clamber set up, but that's not what we're going to be working on today. I actually want to show you guys around making some UI real quick, because the UI is actually really simple to set up in Unreal Engine, and I think it's honestly super helpful to just... One, I want to make sure to get these numbers out of here. I don't want these numbers on the screen anymore. I want this to be... I want this to essentially be the stamina wheel. So we're going to set up a stamina wheel. Yes, we're going to be having a radial stamina wheel. And along with the stamina wheel, we might actually set up the radial menu for our spirit and weapon selection. Now, we don't have the weapon selection screen made yet. Like, we don't have equipping weapons made yet, because, once again, model purposes, and we don't have spirits made yet because that's just going to be a little bit further down the line because it's a little more complex, a little more intricate, because each spirit's going to have to do his own thing, but there's also, like, an overarching bit of what the spirits are going to be doing. So, with that being said, let us go ahead and exit out of there. I will quickly run over the code that me and my friend kind of bashed our heads over until it worked. I believe I put it in here. Give me a second. Yes, it's just in BP third-person character. So, what the code is here is a bit. it's a bit. So, first things first, when you run into an object, it'll give us a couple things. It'll take the object that we ran into and say, hey, is this object wall runnable? Are you falling? Do you have stamina? If all this is true, you're going to go into a wall run. If none of that is true, or if some of this is true, some is not, like, or none of it's true, all this other stuff, it'll check to see if the object is clamberable and you're falling. If that's true, we'll go into a clamber. We haven't set up the clamber functionality. That's going to come later on. Just organizing for now. But what the wall running rotation does is it sets your the angle of the character to the angle of rotation that you need. So this is all just asking, like, hey, what was the hit normal of the wall? Like, the wall, what is the direct perpendicular vector of that? And it takes that and it's like, all right, bang, snap the character to the direction that we need, and it is all good. If you want to take some time, you can look through all this code. It is a bit... I say it's complex, but when you break it down, it's really not. It was more so the logically thinking of it that was really tough. Essentially, it takes the normal of this, the local normal vector here, and it takes the Z rotation, and then it subtracts the actor rotation, which is the character's rotation, from it, and then it's like, hey, dependent on that, we are going to flip you one way or the other. That's all that it's doing. Very simple code. Once you break it down, it was just a matter of circles being difficult because this uses negative angles rather than a full 360 rotation, rotational, like, axis, degree, whatever you want to call it. So it was a little awkward trying to work with that and wrap our brain around it because of the negative numbers that were going on with a rotation. Now, with that set up, once all that is going on, we can go over to here. And the reason that all this is kind of like outside of a function here is because of the delay node. Unreal doesn't like delays inside of functions. That's all that is. Unreal hates delays inside of a function, so we have to put the delay outside of it. We could technically collapse most of this to a function and then just put a delay and then call back the function again. But I just figure, why not have this out in the open? We can collapse this later on if need be. But the wall running movement is just like, hey, if you are wall running, if you are falling, and your stamina is above 0, you're going to just keep on wall running. That's all it is. You're going to keep wall running, buddy. And then once any of those happen to be false, we take all of these out. We stop snapping your movement rotate, like your movement to the wall. And then we also change the gravity back, set wall running to negative. It's just taking all the wall running out. Pretty simple stuff. And then if you come up to the movement input, when you're wall running, it just takes that and goes all the way over here and gets a different function for, hey, if you're wall running, you're going to move differently. And the same goes for the jumping. So you still have the same function for jumping and running. You just add a little bit on, be like, hey, if you're wall running, you do these separate functions. Pretty simple stuff. It's not too bad. And then all we really need to do for wall jump here is, I honestly think I can just link stamina drain jump into wall jump because it's pretty simple. Can't. We're gonna have to do a slightly different function for wall jump drain, it looks like, because the wall jump, yeah, the wall jump, you might be at max jump count, and so therefore if you do the stamina jump drain, well, why do we need this here? We don't need this, do we? Hold on, let me check this. We should be checking. We should be checking this back here, I think. Yeah, I think we can check this back here and then just run this through, and it'll be fine. We'll do that later, but I just wanted to give you guys an update on this. I can actually write that down somewhere in a little bit. But I just wanted to give you guys an update on all this to make sure that you knew what was going on, what was happening behind the scenes, even though I didn't record it. Give you guys a little bit of a look-see into the minutia. And this all together kind of took like around 3 to 4-ish hours just because circles took up like an hour. It's pretty simple. Once we got the circles set around, you just gotta set stuff to different velocities and all that other thing. But now we can actually just tweak and move this to what we actually want to do later on. So great. But today, we are going to be setting up the stamina wheel. So I actually have 2 things made real quick. just to help with the creation of the wheel. And all it is that we have the circular bar set, which we actually will use a lot more. And for those of you that don't understand how this works, it is completely fine. I don't completely understand everything that is going on in this because due to me not being really like blueprinty for the art side of things in Unreal, it does take a minute. I don't know exactly everything going on here, but essentially it's saying, hey, grab a circle, subtract a smaller circle from it, you get this, right? And then from there, it's like, hey, we also want a gradient to some degree from a radial value here. So we can apply a mask to it based on its radial percentage, which is going to be coming in here. The percentage is a parameter, along with the color. The color I just set to green because this is going to be more than likely used for stamina bar. And then we might use it for our equipment and spirit screens. But it's just saying that, and then it's taking all of these and saying, hey, if you are, if A, which is this, the full bar, is greater than B, which is this, whatever is masked over here going on around with this, then do one thing. If it's not, blah, 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 do the other, you know? So that's what's deleting the bar color and giving us this final beautiful little thing where we can actually go in here, and if we change the default value here to like 5.586, you'll see that we now have 58% or 59% if you want to round, whatever, of our bar full, which is great. It works. It's perfect. I'm going to go ahead and set this back to 0.2 just because I like having a fifth there just showing. I'm weird. I'm goofy, some might say, but I like having that there. Okay, so now with this made, we also made a widget, which is a W underscore stamina bar. So I guess I should just point these out. The circular bar here is just a material. If you go here, click material, you'll get circular bar. Cool, whatever. Pretty cool. If you want to make a widget here, which is a widget blueprint, you go into user interface, and widget blueprints are right here. So that's all you need for that. You move on. And then for this, we have a widget, which is just a widget blueprint. And then we put in an overlay here. The overlay is like filling up this whole area going on about here. And then we have an image, which is the actual bar of it. Now, the thing with this is that I believe with the brush, you can set this to a material, if I'm not mistaken. I will double check real quick and see if we can do a, what did I call that? Circular bar. So we want to make a material instance of this because we don't want to use the original because the stamina bar might be different. You know, we might want it to change colors, stuff like that. And also the percent is going to be changing. And we don't want the percent changing to change, obviously, the rest of the bars that might be using this circular function here. So we're going to change this to material instance underscore stamina bar. And that just gives us an instance to where we can attribute this to the stamina bar without having it affect the other instances of, say, like the radial menus, or if we for some reason decide that we want to do like a health bar for radial, which might happen. We haven't decided on what we want to do exactly for the health, so we'll figure that out later on. But yeah, we have this, and then if there's like a mana, we can set a mana bar to the material instance, all this other stuff. It's great. It's functional. It's pretty nice. And with that, I believe that we can go in here and pick material instance, underscore stamina bar, which should do this. And you're going to get this little weird, it's stretching it essentially, which is not what we want. It is stretching the bar quite drastically in one direction. So what we are going to do is, what does this do? As you can see, it centers it and puts it into a little smaller one. But that's not exactly what we want either, if I'm not mistaken. But for now, it's fine. we're just going to do this for the functionality for a bit, and we'll see what happens. Now, with that, let me see here. I believe if we go into the graph, we can get this stuff set up here. So, we have widget stamina bar. We shouldn't need... Trying to think here. We won't need event tick, and I don't think we need event pre-construct. But we will want event construct, I believe. Because essentially we're going to want to set this to the player character's stamina and all this other stuff. Goodness that's going to be going on. So, what we're going to do first is we're going to get player character. Doot. Beautiful. And from there, we're going to want to... I'm trying to think if we cast from here, if we cast from the player character. I don't think we cast from player character. But we do need to get the player character, and we need to get their values for stamina. Is that player controller? Gosh, this is always what messes with me, because I never know if you need to get the player controller or player character. I believe it is the controller. Might have messed up, but it's fine. Trial and error, everyone. Just enjoy the walk around. Oh, you know what it is? You need to cast it to the player controller. Right? We need to cast to the player controller? Yeah. Okay. So when it gets constructed, we want to cast to BP. Is that not who it is? It's BP third person character, isn't it? Bear with me. Bear with me. This is always, like, casting is my kryptonite, so just cast BP third person character. Okay, and then from here we can get current. Yes, okay, we can get current stamina and we can get max stamina, which is what we need. So on event construct, we do want to cast, get the current stamina. Beautiful. We don't need to get the current stamina now, but it is what it is. But what this does basically is it takes this, and now we can edit or grab or change whatever variables we want from the third person character inside of this widget, which is great for, you know, obviously reading variables that aren't in this widget to begin with, and altering anything that we might need on the third person character itself. Say if we're switching later on, when we're switching like weapons or spirits or stuff like that, where we're changing our abilities, we can use this to essentially say, hey, you want to subtract energy because switch is obviously going to take some energy out of you, which pretty great. Now, that being said, on event construct, we're going to make this, right? And then as the third person character, I believe we're going to want to, you know, obviously we're going to create the widget from the third person character. That's later on. But we're going to want to create a new function. So, let's go into here. This is going to be update percentage. Leave that there for now. I'm just trying to think a little bit. Update percentage has to have... two inputs, which are both going to be floats. From there, we're going to have current stamina, and then we're going to get max stamina, and then the output is going to be... I don't think we need to output anything, if I'm not mistaken. Okay. Let's go into here, and then from the update percentage, whenever it gets called, we want to have a couple things happening. So first off, we want to have a local variable inside of here, which is... Oh, do we need a local? I don't think we need the local variable. But we're going to have the current stamina, divided by the max stamina. And what this is gonna get is it's just gonna get us back like how much what's the percentage of the current stamina to the max stamina. Essentially, if it's 50 current stamina, we're gonna get 0.50. The reason we have to do this is just that's how computers work. They don't want to take like if you divide 100 by 50, it's gonna obviously give you 2, which is not the percentage. It's just not going to work out the way that you want it, and computers can't really wrap their minds around like how much percentage is coming from, you know, the bigger number divided by the smaller number. So you divide the smaller number by the bigger number, and that gives you the percentage of what that smaller number is of the bigger number if you just multiply by 100. So we don't need to multiply by 100, thank God. It's just an unnecessary step. But what we are going to want to do is we're going to get, I believe, image bar. And if we go into here, which we want to get the material instance, I believe. Get material. Oh, it's get image, I believe. Get image. Okay, hold on. Give me 1 second to figure this out. Because we want to alter this image, essentially. But I don't know if we can do that just from here or not. Because this is the material instance stamina bar. Can we just edit this? We might be able to just edit that. Can we do that? I'm trying to think. Because we want to set the parameter of a material instance, right? Get material index. Creates a dynamic material instance which you can modify during... So we want to get a material instance, essentially, here. Let's see. Can we just call this... Hold on. We might be able to just drag this in or something here. No, cannot create components from assets in a non-actor blueprint. I'm trying to think. Give me just a few seconds here. Because we just have an image here, but what the image is it's the image of the material instance. So if we change the material instance, we should be changing the image as well, if I'm not mistaken. Because the material instances are dynamically editable. So this is binding, which is fine. Okay, cool. Don't need any of that. I need to think here. The image bar default value. What's going on with that? Okay. Volatile, that's not what we need. Let us see what is going on here. Compile. Because I'm trying to think. We need to get the material instance that is linked to the bar. And if we get the material instance linked to the bar, then it's smooth sailing from there. We just get the percentage and we update the percentage. But I'm trying to think of the way that we would go about getting it. So let me pause real quick and just see about some information about grabbing the material instance real quick. I'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So from what I am understanding of... Oh, that should not have happened. From what I'm understanding from here, we can actually do something a little interesting. We can actually go from here. On the construction of this widget, we want to actually create a dynamic... Hold on, create... If I could type. Dynamic material instance here. So... we are going to create a dynamic material instance. Optional name. I don't know what the optional name will actually do here. but we want to select a parent and then creation flag, which I don't know what that is all about. But from here, we are going to create a material instance of the... So, hold on 1 second. We might want to create a material instance of the circular bar, which means that this will be gone. I think we delete here. Or delete. We don't need that anymore. Which did close out our widget. Oh, please don't tell me that broke. I think it might have broke. Yep. Unreal died! Lol did not like that. Alright, we're gonna go ahead and send and restart. I'll meet you guys once we get back there. It did not like me force deleting that. BRB. Alright, we're back. After the crash that we just had. And now we can actually create the material instance again. Sorry about that. Don't do as I do, obviously. I use force delete willy-nilly, which probably shouldn't happen. Why do I keep forgetting what this is called? Circular bar. Circular bar. Why do I keep forgetting what I call that? Like, it's not even that difficult. Anyways. The return value that we're going to get here, is going to be promoted to a variable. We want to promote this up to a new variable. And then we also want to call this the wheel. The stamina wheel. I guess we'll just call it stamina wheel. Either way, this is now a dynamic instance. This is an instance of the material circular bar, which should work out pretty fine. And then we also want to get this and set the brush, set brush to this. We cannot set brush to that, despite it being a stamina. That's because we have to get... No. This should be returning the image here. The material that we need. So I'm trying to think, what do we go from there? We do need to set the brush here. Because as is right now, what we are basically playing with is a white square, which is not what we want. We don't want it to set the brush. The default value we could set here, but we don't really want to. Compile. Retrieves the value of the variable can use instead of a separate get node. Yeah. Because we want to set the brush value here, because the brush value is what is going on. Brush image, maybe? Set brush image. Brush from... Sets the brush to the specified texture. From material. There we go. Set brush from material. Go like that. Goes in. Alright. Sorry about that. So... Now that all of that is over, this is what it should be calling on construct. It's going to call third person character, which I actually want to promote that to the variable real quick. Let me just promote. We actually don't need to set this as a cast. The issue is that we're just going to do it anyways. Essentially what this is it's saying, hey, if the third person character exists, set it to this. So, obviously, if you're playing the game, the third-person character should always exist to some degree. So this is kind of a redundant validator, but I just like to leave them in just because having that there, it usually helps alleviate if there isn't a third-person character. If you're dead or something, you can kind of set it to something else. But even with you being dead, you know, there can sometimes be issues. And anyways, just I leave it there. You can actually, if you want to clean up your code a bit, make it more slimmed down, you can right-click on it and go to convert to pure cast, because obviously this is always going to be available. But we are going to just change this to the player character as the variable name. So now we can acquire the player character and the brush, the stamina wheel, anytime we want. So, what are we going to be doing now? We are going to be in update percentage. We are going to be getting our stamina wheel. And we want to get the parameter percentage. which did I not name it percentage? No, no, no. I named it percentage. Material instance dynamic type. Because in here it is named percent. So maybe it is set parameter? Let's see here. Okay. So we have this here. Give me 1 second. I still have that the search that I did earlier pulled up, so I can just pull this up real quick and we can look at this a little bit more in depth here. So okay, it's saying set scalar parameter value, which I believe that this is a scalar parameter. I could be wrong. I'm like, yeah, parameter value. Okay. And so we are correct in this thinking. We have to go from here into a set scalar parameter value. The parameter name will be percent, and then the value will always be this. That's going to go into there. And then this is going to be... Do I need to send something back? I'm trying to think if we have to send something back in any way. Because we have the percentage of the bar and everything, and it should be updating from there. We might need to reset the image every time it happens, but I don't believe we need to since it's a dynamic instance, dynamic material instance. So I think setting the scalar parameter should be fine, and it should be setting it no matter what. But that being said, could be wrong. Could be very wrong. We have it set here for the construct. And so we want to have this appear no matter what. I'm trying to think. Just give me a second. So we want the stamina wheel to be following the character at all times, essentially, but we also want it to hide when it is full. So after it is full, we want it to just kind of fade out. If you guys remember how it does, let me see if I can pull up a video, actually. Because we don't want the stamina bar to always be there. We want it to fade out as if you have full stamina. And we also want it to change a little bit depending on how much stamina is left. We'll get to that after we actually just get the functionality of the circle working. But for now, let's go into this. And where's event begin play? Event begin play. So right now, only thing mapped to event begin play is adding the mapping context, which is fine, but we also want to create this widget and turn its visibility down. So let's see. Because we can make it invisible, essentially. I'm just trying to think of a way to do this without using tick. Because I don't want to use the event tick because it is very heavy on processing power. So if we can figure out a way to do it without using event tick, it is preferable. And I think that we can use a for loop for it. So we're going to go ahead and create another function and put max stamina fade. So when max stamina hits, when max and current stamina get together, they like max out together. We want it to fade out. So in theory, what we are going to have here is a for loop And so what I'm thinking right now is a for loop with... Oh, we would need a for loop with like a delay to make it fade right, though, I think. That's the issue. Which, if we're doing a for loop with fade, the problem is trying to get it to work, you know, somewhat well. But what we can do here is set transparency, I believe is what it's called. Is it not transparency? Oh gosh, what is it called? Is there not a transparent set alpha? Maybe I think it's set alpha. Now that I think about it, uh, opacity. Because if we go all the way down, it turns it off. Okay, cool. So set alpha. So set color and opacity. Let's see if it's just set opacity. Boom. Set color and opacity. Set opacity. In color and opacity. Okay, cool. What if we just go to set opacity? Okay. So we're going to set the opacity equal to it each time. We also want to get opacity. We're going to have to break this, I believe. Split. Color and opacity. Okay. There we go. So from this, alpha is what we're looking for. The alpha is just the transparency of the layer. And all we're going to do is, what I'm thinking is setting a delay loop, essentially, where every time the loop runs, it'll have a little bit of a delay, just the minuscule delay, and then it'll subtract a little bit of alpha from it, making it eventually come to nothing. The issue that I'm trying to figure out is how much. Because in here, we have to call a function for it. We're going to have to make a new event, which will be just... We'll just make a custom event here. It's custom event. It'll be stamina wheel fade. Fade. Sure. And then from here, we will do a for loop. Not for each. Gosh dang it. How dare you, blueprints? But we'll do a for loop. The first index, since the index just started 0, will be 0. And then since we want to do this 50 times, I think will be the great way to do this originally, which could be false. But the initial thought process I have is a 50 step opacity shift. So since it starts at 0, you have to go to 49 instead of going to 50. And then every single loop body, it will have a very slight delay, which is going to be, let's say, 0.01. So if this runs 50 times, it'll take half a second for the stamina bar to fade. Makes sense. I think that that's a good amount. We'll see. That's just something that we're going to have to figure out aesthetically. And then every single time it loops this function, we will do a stamina wheel fade, which is this function here. All we're going to do is get the opacity alpha, subtract. What are we doing here? We want to do point. So 1 is max percentage because it's basically working off a percentage total here. So we're going to want to subtract 0.02 because 0.02 times 50 should make it to a full 1. Now, go into here, go into there. That should be all that needs to be done for the opacity here. We might have a bug in there that we need to fix, which, granted, we will probably want to check each time to see if this is needed to be ran. I think that the main thing we're going to do here... Can we break this? I think we can break. Can we just convert this to a break one? No. Okay. Well, for loop with break. Okay. So the break function is if we have a different event that comes in. So basically what we want to do is if in this half second something else happens, we want to break this loop, because we don't want this loop to be constantly running. That's all that it's gonna say there. It's you just hook this up like that. Basically, it's like, hey, if this event is called, you break out of that loop. It stops it. If I'm not mistaken, hold on. If execution goes into the break, the loop will exit without executing the remaining indices. Yeah. Okay. Had to double check. I was 90% sure that's what break did, but could have been wrong. And all we have to do here is basically on the start of stamina drain, we're gonna go into breaking the loop because we don't want it to do that. But when the event starts for stamina drain, it's gonna come into here, and it's also gonna come down here. Because I think you can branch this off. No, you cannot. Okay. Okay, we can just do a event with a sequence where first off it breaks this, second off it comes down here. All good. Should be all good. Compile. Now, what are we doing over here? We are going to be making a widget as soon as the player is created. Now, this will probably not be some people's preferred method of doing this. I like setting the widget equal to here. Equal to the character that is going to be on screen, and so it will show it. So you can call it, just make it visible, opaque, translucent, all this other stuff, and you don't really have to worry as much about what all is going on. You can just call it whenever you want. It makes it simple for me. Other people have different ways for making the widget. They'll say, hey, make the widget from inside, create, destroy, blah, 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 all this other stuff. This is what works best for my brain. You might find a different way that's more, I guess, processor friendly. But this is the way that it works for my brain, so we're going to go with that. So, when the event begin play happens, just want to check here. Yes. Okay. So we're going to want to do all this no matter what. I'm going to just branch off of this and go into create widget. And then the widget is going to be our stamina wheel. Stamina bar. And then the owning player is just going to be self. Okay. Can I not set this to self? Get player controller, I guess. I guess we can just get player controller. Get player controller. There we go. Because this is assigning player controller. Yes. Okay. We also want to, every time you create a widget, just creating it is not enough. You want to make sure that it is added to the viewport. If you don't add to the viewport, this widget's just not going to be able to be seen. So if we go in here and click here and press play, you can see, boom. Oh, the widget's there. That's lovely. But, oh, what's this? The widget's just not responding. By the way, we're going to switch back the levels because I just like testing in a closed area. I don't know why. It's something with me. My brain... Save all this. Yeah, sure. But my brain does not like, testing in open areas. I don't know what it is. My brain's just like, no, stop it. You need to stop that, cut that out. But as you can see right now, as is, the freaking stamina bar, if you can look through all the framey drops that we're having, the stamina bar is there. It's in fact created. It is visible. Great. That's fantastic, right? But it is not getting set to what we need, which is an issue. So let's fix that, shall we? Give us some time for the system to figure itself out. So, what is the issue here that's going on? Well, first off, we are not updating the percentage off of the bat. So on creation, we want to make sure that this updates its percentage. The percentage will get, hold on. I don't know why it's being so goofy right now, so give it a little bit of time. Yeah, the recording is just being real framey. I don't know why it's being such, but boom. Hopefully that helps it a little bit. It's when I click off of OBS that it starts going like, oh no, I'm gonna die. But I'm sorry, I guess this devlog will just be a little cursed. I will try to fix it for the next devlog. Hopefully you guys are able to figure that out. Don't know if you will be able to or not, but I just am hoping that you will. So, from here, when we create the object, we want to make sure to update the percentage, because we want to make sure to update it to this. So, the target is always going to be stamina wheel. I don't know why it's saying self when we don't have that as an input, but whatever. But it's also got these two inputs of, hey, what's your current stamina and what's your max stamina? Well, that's pretty simple. It's the player character's max stamina and current stamina. So if you just drag this out here, and then you drag get current stamina. Beautiful, that's right there. You can just schloink that right in. And then you can drag off from this, but get max stamina. Now, since the default values that we have set are 0.2, there is a little bit of scariness with this, right? The 0.2 works because it is showing us that it is not full. But now, since we have the default value not set to 1, we can actually test this and see if it changes. Which, hopefully it does. As you can see, the bar is now full! So it works! Yay! Our update percentage loop has officially figured itself out. And now, all we have to do is just figure out what we need to do to update that with an event call. So all we need to do is every time we drain stamina, we want to make sure that this bar ticks down. Right? Simple enough. But easier said than done sometimes. So, if we go... Hold on, let me just pull up this. So, now what do we do? Well, a simple solution would be to make another function. I know, beating a dead horse a little bit, but making a function just to update stamina wheel is nice, but it isn't really necessary, because what we can do is, since we have a stamina drain jump, stamina drain sprint, we can just tack it on at the end of here. And it should work pretty well for that, if I'm not... Actually, stamina drain sprint, I think, isn't being used anymore, right? Am I crazy? Am I crazy? Is stamina drain sprint still being used? Okay, yay, it is still being used. I just had to double check. Wasn't positive. Didn't want to say anything. Boom, boom. So, stamina drain sprint. Every time that this is called, we want to also call our... We did not promote our widget to a variable. I goofed. So, if we go back up here, we need to promote this widget to a variable. Which... Here. Okay. So we are creating this. We are adding it to the viewport. We also want to promote this to a variable. Promote to a variable. And we want to call this the stamina wheel. Beautiful. And all this is doing is it's making it to where we don't have to essentially get this widget every time we want to see it. It's just going to be available. We don't need to go and grab it. Cool. Great. Whatever. So yeah. It's just an easy way to make it to where we don't have to constantly make like a reference to this. It's just making it simple for us. So if we go back into stamina drain sprint, we want to get our stamina, our newly created stamina wheel, create, and then from there, we are going to be calling a function, which is update percentage. Which, if you remember, that should be linking to a certain someone that we just made. So let me just link this all up. There. Max stamina. There. Compile and make sure to save everything. So now when we run, sorry, I burped for a second there, so that's where there was an awkward pause. But now, when we run, we should not only drain our stamina, but we should update the stamina wheel. Pretty simple stuff, right? In theory. Now, let's see if it works. If we are running, you can see, granted our stamina drain is really low just because for testing purposes, I don't find it that fun to make stamina drain that high. But once we actually get put into the game, once all the functionality is done, we'll obviously rework these, set them up to what we need to do, and so on and so forth. But as you can see, our stamina is now changing, going down all the way, and hopefully you guys won't actually be able to see it, but we'll get all the way down to the bottom here, and then boom, we're 0, and now we should be full stamina because we've sat here for a few seconds, and the stamina drain I have set to insanely quick, but it's not coming back. Huh. Weird, right? So, what we are actually going to do is I will show you one little thing that'll actually bring the stamina back, is if I hit sprint again. You can see the stamina's back. But the issue that is going on here, why the stamina is not actually regaining in lifetime, is because we actually do need to set our... Let me go into a player. We actually need to set this for the stamina gain as well. So let me go into our stamina gain event, which is Control F, stamina gain. Beautiful. Here's stamina gain. So, basically... Oh, we have an update stamina wheel function? We won't be needing that anymore. We goofed. We don't need that anymore. We can delete this, I believe. Yeah, we have an update stamina wheel. We don't need this anymore because it's actually really simple. We can just call update percentage. We don't need these. Delete those! Delete your code! Delete your code! I always love a good old delete your code. Okie dokie. So let me just double check. There's no stamina gain going on here. No stamina gain going on there. There's only stamina gain going on here. So, all we need to do is take this out. I will say, it did make it to where, the... what you call it? The organization was set up already, which is nice. Good job, Pass Me, for actually thinking ahead and making an update stamina wheel function, and then continuing not to use it. But I mean, no, we don't need current weight. It's easier to drag. Just drag, you dummy. They have functionalities to make your life easy, and all you have to do is this. Okie dokie. So with that, this is now updating the percentage on stamina gain as well. Now, the stamina gain is super fast, so it's going to be a little... what's the word we're looking for? It's going to be a little bit too fast. You guys might not actually be able to see it, but hopefully it is not going to be too bad. But stamina drain sprint is now done. We just need to go into stamina drain jump and also get the stamina wheel here. And then also do update percentage. Which you can imagine for some of these it would get a little tedious, but if you have the stamina functionality set up beforehand, it's not too bad, in my opinion. This could get to where if you're having like a lot of functionalities added and you're getting confused, it might be easier for you to actually set up a function for just, hey, this is what the stamina drain, like always go into a stamina drain function, therefore it always updates percentage. But I like doing it this way. It's easier to set up different drains for different events for the stamina. There's obviously 101 ways to do code. If my way doesn't work for you, it is fine. There's probably a better, more efficient, more cleanly coded way for you to find. I'm just here to show you my thought process and hopefully ways that you can function and make this graph and all the stuff there within work for you. So, with that done, all of our stamina drain and gain should be set up. Let me just make sure if we jump, boom, you can see that I jumped a lot further down, a lot quicker, and then it restored really fast because I obviously have stamina gain jacked way up. But I do want to also just test it a little bit, so let's see here. if that is the case... Hold on. Let me see in here. Okay, I'm trying to think of something here. So if max stamina is equal, it goes up here. If our velocity is less than 50, I'm just looking at this code for a little bit. Because I'm trying to get it to... If it's true... Hold on. Because I think that there's something weird going on here. Because if it's slow, then it goes down here. If it's slow, it comes down here. But if it's fast, it asks if it's falling. So the issue is that our stamina update is constantly looping here, it looks like. And that's not what I want. Because basically, this is constantly looping after it gets called. Which is an issue. It will be resource intensive. What we want to do is basically like, hey, if max stamina equals current stamina, once that hits on the gain, we want to set up the fade function to start working. Which I'm trying to think of how to do this now that I have this stuff set up. I can check is falling and speed at the same time. I just have to do an AND function. And then if both of those are... I think if I just switch, gosh, dang it. Because I'm trying to think if A is greater than B. Because top is A, bottom is B. So to go into true, I have to be moving faster than my walking speed. I think I just have to flip this. No. I can do a branch down here. Yeah, I can do a branch down here where if max stamina and current stamina are not equal, then it goes in. And then the branch I can also put if max stamina, basically like, okay, instead of saying it, let me just show. Why do I need to use words when I can use action? Basically, it's pretty simple. We go in here, and then we also want to compare these two. If they are equal to each other, go into a branch here. Beautiful. Branch it. Boom. Bring that up. And then so if these two are equal to each other, we are going to call a different function, which in here is called... What is it called? Stamina wheel fade. Yes. Sorry, this is calling itself. We don't want to do that. We want to do max stamina fade. Yes. We want to call a max stamina fade. All right. Beautiful. I don't know why I messed that up. Oofed on that one. Oopsie doopsies. So, what is another thing we want to do? We want to make sure that the stamina wheel actually is not shown at the start. Because at the start, ideally, you are going to be at max stamina. So on construct, what are we wanting to do here? On construct, we are going to want to... We go into here. We want to set the opacity of image bar to 0. Yes. And then part of the update... I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think on all of this. Because if we have it showing at the beginning, it's going to be a hassle later on. So we want to set up the code for that now. Let's see. We don't need to set up an optional name here. Let us go ahead and grab this. Set parameter, scalar parameter value. The name is %. And we want to set the value to 0. Therefore, it's already set up and blah, 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 blah. So I believe most games that have a stamina wheel will automatically, when you start using stamina, they don't really do a fade in. It just pops the stamina wheel in. Now, we can do a fade in. I think the fade in would be a little bit more, I guess the term would be cinematic, maybe, for it. I think that the fade in would be a little more cinematic. So, let us update percentage. We don't need to mess with that. If we do custom event and stamina use start into a sequence, I think we can do it from this. So first off, we want to make sure to break this loop. If this is happening, if there is a loop for the stamina wheel fading, we want to cut it off. Because no matter what, if we use stamina, we need that bar open. So break that off. And then we also want to make sure to do our own for loop. Beautiful. That is the max stamina fade. I think that we're going to do a separate function called stamina drain fade, just because I like having different stuff. And it's basically going to be the inverse of max stamina fade. So what we can do is take this, go here, and Control V. Hello? Control V. Okay, it's not copying. Give me a second. Control C. Sometimes it just has a couple issues with copy and pasting. And instead of a subtract, we want to set this to a add, which should now pretty much be fine. But instead of it, because this is going to take, going to loop 50 times 0.1, so it's going to take half a second to run all of this. I think half a second for the fade in and for the fade out works. Will it? Do we want it to be a little bit faster for the fade in? I think we want to do 0.25 seconds for the fade in, which I believe we can do with the delay. Let me just double check. Specified in seconds. Calling again while it is counting down will be ignored. Okay, so I think this will work correctly. Hopefully. Compile. Let me just do something real quick and see if this is working here. Did I not set it to call? I might not have set it to call. Give me a second here. Okay, I didn't set this to call, right? Okay, so stamina wheel, if they are equal, we want this to call stamina wheel fade. Oh gosh, did I call this stamina wheel fade? We're gonna rename this. Real. Rename max stamina wheel fade. There we go. That'll make that a little bit easier. Stamina wheel fade. Beautiful. It's gonna call this. If not, then it is just going to loop back again to gain stamina gain. Simple enough. We'll just put this like that. And drag that around them. A little bit uglier, but kind of Frankensteined it in. Should work out. Okay. So let's see if the fade works to begin with. It doesn't appear to be there. And then if we do this and go boop, it is not setting the alpha. Okay. Okay. Hmm. Let me see here. So we can go ahead and print here. And then once it's full, it should tell us hello. Okay. So it is calling that function. So it is something to do with the blueprint of the widget here. Which I believe is the delay. Can we not do a for loop with delay? I remember running into some kind of issue with for loops and delay. Let me double check this. For loop with delay. It's just wanting us to make our own custom for loop, essentially. Which is possible, but it's just a little tedious. Trying to think. Because it's saying for loops with delay are not working correctly. Uh... Give me just 1 second, guys. I'm looking at this. So it's telling me to use macros here, which I've not gotten too far into. Which so let's see here. Some of them are saying to use a timer. What is going on here? Function name. Okay, set a timer to execute delegate. Setting an existing timer will reset that timer with updated parameters. So the issue with this, I'm trying to think. I think the for loop would probably be easier. Just making our individual for loops here. But we need the break. So we could set a variable to where like it is draining stamina and put this as a branch inside of it. Think. Do we want to set a for loop with delay, or do I want to figure this out? We can figure this out, I think. Just want to know if we have the time for it today. Oh, don't crash. Thank you. Because the language that they're using here is weird. Setting an existing timer. What about the other timer functions that we have here? Okay, so we can set a timer by event. Okay, which is probably not what we want. We probably just want to set the timer by function name, right? So the issue is what's happening with this for loop is that delay doesn't actually delay the execution. What it does is it sets a separate like split function to where it's saying, hey, it comes here, it delays it, and when that delay's over, it'll do a max stamina fade. But this for loop is running through all of its indexes before this delay is up, essentially. So it's only running one instance of this fade. What we could do is a while loop with a break, but then we run into the same issue of the delay there. So it would work so much easier if the delays worked. They are saying to run timers. Let us see if we can figure this out a little bit. We don't want it to loop. So let's do that. The function name is going to be max stamina fade. So it should be calling this function, if I'm reading this right. And then we want the time to be 0.01. Because this is time in seconds, right? Yeah, in seconds. Let us see if this works. Hopefully it does. Does not appear to be working. Because it's coming up, it should be hitting, it's saying hello, it should be fading right now. Which it is not. So, let us look at this once more with feeling. What are you doing? They're saying to use timers, but the timer is kind of incurring the same issue. In this case, set timer by function name. And set the interval, and then pause the handle, and the max iterations have been reached. It's saying a custom event can be a K2 function or a custom event. Which these are custom functions, which I don't think these are Kismet 2. Let me see if I just do this. So we want to print a string here. Faded. Beautiful. And then go over to here. We'll take the hello out because obviously that is firing. We'll see if this prints out at all. Okay. It's saying it's fading, but it's not. So what is the issue here? It is... the opacity should be going down. Hmm. I need to clamp this. I see. But I don't think that should be working. I thought if there was any negative number... Hold on. I do need to clamp this either way. Wow. Okay, so it is clamping that. Okay, cool. So that is why it was showing up constantly. Got that bug fixed. It is now going away. But this delay is not working. So... how do we fix that? And then do that. And I think we can go into here, right? And then if we do like a looping here, compile, give me a second. Okay. Something is going on here that is making it not delay enough. So I'm going to go ahead and do 0.5 just to see. We'll have a half second on here where it is like taking its time and see what happens from that. So it's not actually turning its alpha off. The opacity doesn't change until it blinks out. And there it goes. Interesting. Why is the alpha disappearing, not changing it? Because that should be updating the material instances brush. Because it's image. Yeah. Okay. Color and opacity. Because the alpha layer should be what the color is being determined by. But it's just working off of like a binary number right now for some reason. Even when I edit it in here, see, the alpha changing is changing the vibrance amount, which is weird because going negative in this made it turn off. So what is the issue here? trying to think of why this would be doing this. We can change the brush tint. Gosh. I think we want to change the brush tint. See if that works. Hmm. The issue is, I think it's going to be the same thing, the same issue. Let me get, see, it's not going to help because they're making dynamic material instances. Gosh, what would be the issue here? My brain might be small. My brain might be small as to why it's doing this. Because I can't figure out why the issue's happening here. There's obviously something here that it's not liking. Having the clamp set will at least make it to where it does disappear after time. But the issue is that the alpha's not slowly fading, it's like full alpha and then it just pops out of existence. Do I have opacity on the circular bar? Would not be able to do that. Okay. The stamina's working and I'm happy about that. I just want it to look better. And that is therein the issue. Just making sure that it fades right and all that stuff. I tell you what, I'm going to take a slight pause, get up and think about it a little bit. I'll be right back and hopefully I can think of something to fix up the stamina fade for you all. I'll be right back, everybody. Okay, so that took a lot more time than what I would like to admit, because every single person online pretty much said, like, the same exact thing that I was trying to do. They were telling me, hey, just set the alpha low. But then there was also some that were like, hey, just set the animation, set an animation for it to fade out. And then there was a couple others that did a couple other things, and it just didn't work for whatever reason. So what I ended up having to do for this was actually coming back to the blend mode and changing it off of masked and instead to translucent, and then setting up a fade at the end here, which is a parameter to fade it out. Here, if I can just show you this right here. This automatically like sets a fade for it, so that's part of the material instance now, and we just set the fade based off of that and the multiply. I'm not sure if I really enjoy that too much, but it's what I came up with, and it's what we got. I don't really know. Hopefully it's something that'll work, but I feel like I feel like there's got to be something else that might work a little bit better. I don't know. It works out for what we need here, because if we go into here, you can see that we have max stamina, and then when we run, although the run drain is kind of having like some issues, once we hit full stamina, it does fade out. So, now we have a little bit of an issue in the way of when we run now, it won't come back. So, the only thing that we really have to do is essentially set it to where when we run, it shows the wheel back up, which is not too bad. I do know that I have to do something with the jump as well, real quick. So let me go into the jump settings, because I found out that the jump is, I believe... No, it's... Why is the stamina drain for the jump? Okay, so for some reason, let me just check here. Okay. I think I have a quick fix. So, for some reason, when I jump, the stamina automatically starts regaining a little bit. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put a delay in here. I think that a small little delay should work well enough to where it shouldn't drain or start the stamina gain immediately. We'll just have like a little delay. It'll be like, hey, yo, we all good? And then once it's all good, it should work out, I believe. So, it's all fine and dandy. We're updating percentages. We're checking to see if everything's a-okay. The last thing we need is to make sure that when we start draining stamina, when when we drain the stamina, we need to make sure that we put the widget back on screen. So to do that, we just literally we go into the stamina bar, and when we go into update percentage, we want to check to see if this is not equal to 1. So if this is not equal to 1, then we want to make sure to run... What was the custom event we set up? Stamina use start. So we want to make sure to run stamina use start, and essentially what this is going to do is this is going to fade in and kind of do the opposite of stamina wheel like hiding, and it's going to fade into a timer that sets the stamina wheel up. So we're going to go over here. We're going to set timer by function name. The function we are going to do stamina drain fade. Drain fade. Boom. We're going to have it set on the same timer here because we do want them to fade in with half a second. And that should work there. Okay, we're going to set it to looping. And the last thing we want is to bring this up. Here. Okay, I'm just trying to think here. Because the thing is, we have a few functions that we want to figure out here. Because we want to set this timer, but we actually want this to be into then 1. And then for 0, we actually want to do stamina wheel hidden. And this might seem a little off, and it is a little off. But we actually want to do stamina wheel hidden here. Because essentially what we want to do is we want to call this function and invalidate the timer if we start running. Because if we start running, no matter what, we want to stop that fade. And then here, we want to do stamina drain fade. But once we go into here, let me get rid of all this. Oh, excuse me. Sorry about that. And then we're going to come over to here and grab all of this real quick. Okay, hold on. If this is equal to 0, then we want to call stamina wheel hidden. There we go. That should invalidate this once it gets to minimum opacity. We probably should clamp this as well, now that I think about it. Let me just go ahead and clamp all this. It's just future-proofing all of it. Clamp between 0 and 1. And then we go here, here, and here. Okay. I believe that's good. So now we just have to bring all of this to stamina drain fade. Beautiful. And then the only thing we are changing is the subtraction. We are going to change to an addition of 0.02. And that should be good. And we want to take that out. And then if this is equal to 1, we are going to call a function where we are going to go over to clear and invalidate timer by handle. I want to break this. And we want to bring this up. And we want to make a custom event here that is stamina wheel visible. Beautiful. And we're going to call this function. So let us go into the stamina drain fade and call this now. Okay, compile. So this should all work out semi-nicely here now. It loops itself and everything, and it's going fine and dandy. Okay. Now if we go into update percentage, if the update percentage is not equal to 1, then we want to do a branch out here. And if this is true, then we want to go to stamina use start. I believe. And then give me a second here to think about this. Update percentage. If this is false, if we do hit 1, we want to do stamina wheel fade. Max stamina wheel fade, right? Yes. Okay. That should be working fine. And this actually sets this to where I don't believe I need to call it back here. Yeah, I don't think I need to call this because this is updating no matter what. So no matter what, we can just go back into the whole... Wait, hold on. We can do that. Yes. If it's not equal to max stamina, then we run stamina gain again. And then now this should not be looping. Okay. I think this all should work. Let us give it a little bit of a test. There we go. It fades in and it fades out. Beautiful. We'll just do a little bit of running, and the running does not appear to be sending the update. Okay. Why was the running not sending the update? The stamina drain is calling update percentage. Huh. And it's not equal to 1. Let's look at this again real quick. Yeah, for some reason, stamina drain is not causing that to show up. When we jump. Ah. It looks like the two timers are battling to some extent. Okay. I think I'm not calling one of the functions to end itself. Let me see here. Max stamina fade. Max stamina fade, stamina drain fade. Huh. Stamina drain fade. Equal to that. If this is equal to 1, it is stamina wheel visible, so it should invalidate that. Stamina wheel hidden should invalidate that. Okay, okay, okay. I'm trying to think of what's causing that now. Because as soon as we start sprinting, this should go into false, which should be... Sorry, this should go into true. Because A would not equal B. This should not equal 1 if, as soon as we start sprinting, which would go into stamina use start, which is over here, which no matter what should always invalidate this, so it shouldn't be fading. And then it should be coming down into here, which starts the timer. And this should fade in on stamina drain fade. Yeah, this should be draining in. Or fading in. So now what's the issue? Oh, gosh. Brain worky. It should be working out fine. I don't know why the stamina is not popping up here. See, it's showing up there. It's working properly for the jump, just not the sprint. So something's up with the sprint, it seems. Okay, let's see what's going on with your sprint here. Okay. Save. Let's see here. Uh, Updating the percentage down here. Something's goofy here. Because this should be the one deciding. Hmm. Why are you goofing here? Because all it's doing is asking it to update percentage. So if it's updating percentage, I think it's because it's running through stamina use start each time. And that might be causing some issues. Because it's setting a new timer each frame, maybe? So what I'm thinking is we do this into a do once, maybe? And the only way that this resets is if this is hit by this again. Right? Compile? Maybe that's how we want to do it? Let's see if that's how that works. It looks like it's working now. Okay, that does seem to be the issue. So we were setting a timer before it was allowed to function, essentially. We were setting the timer too fast. Okay. From what we can see, it looks like the function is working now. Okay, now we need to call the update function on our wall run, because that is not updating. Okay, cool. Glorious. Now we need to go to wall run, which I believe is over here. So, wall run, setting. And we can take this out. And this out. That is all getting clamped. Beautiful. And we want to update. Oh, we need to get the stamina wheel. And then update percentage. With, you guessed it, current stamina and max stamina. And then that should be good. Current stamina. Just there. And max stamina. Should be there. Beautiful. Now, everything should be working as is. And now if we ever add any more functions in, all we need to do is... Yes, everything appears to be working correctly. So now we have at least some form of our stamina bar working, which is what we wanted for today. Now, the next time we come out here, I will probably have this, like, set up a little bit different positionally. What I'm wanting to do is I'm wanting to apply this to a socket, which we will be, setting, in the editor. Socketing in editor will be pretty simple. All you want to do is, basically, I want to have this moving based on where the character is, because basically, I think, for Link in, like, Legend of Zelda and stuff, I think that his stamina bar is basically like socketed to one of his shoulders. So when his shoulder moves, the stamina bar like goes up and down with it. But I will also look into that a little more. We're kind of wanting to emulate a little bit with the Legend of Zelda stuff, but also, you know, obviously have our own flair to it. So I will check with the lead and all this stuff on where they want to position the wheel. But we will probably have the wheel moved next time. And I will just show you guys how to do that like pretty quickly. But yeah. Now that we actually have the wheel set up to some degree, I think that I'm going to end this devlog, and we will see you in the next one, where hopefully all that will be sorted out. And I think the next devlog, we might be working on the hook, because I think the hook would be a really, really nice thing to use with our time. So, with that, I hope you guys had a wonderful time with the devlog. I appreciate you all coming out and just spending some time watching the process happen as we transfer the project over from Unity to Unreal. So yeah, I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days, and enjoy. Bye-bye!